The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. These profound words were articulated by Sun Tzu in his 5th century treatise, The Art of War. And while these words may hold little significance for you and me, their gravity magnifies manyfold when cast upon the stage of the Russia-Ukraine war. You see, recently, Ukraine has intensified drone attacks deep within Russia, but these drone raids have failed to make any significant impact. And the thing is, no matter how many drones they fly deep within Russia, the reality on the ground remains the same. Russian invading forces hold large parts of Ukrainian territory. So the question we ask tonight is, what is Ukraine trying to achieve through these near daily drone raids? Is it a deflection tactic, or is there a strategy here to keep the gravy train of Western aid coming in? In fact, just today, the US promised military aid worth $250 million to Ukraine. And earlier today, Ukraine launched perhaps its biggest drone attacks on Russian soil since the war started. Russia reported that its air defenses thwarted multiple strikes overnight. Over half a dozen UAVs were shot down across at least 6 regions. The drone raid lasted over 4 hours, striking Russian military assets near Russia's borders with Estonia and Latvia. The drones caused a huge blaze, damaging 4 Russian military transport planes. And there were no reports of casualties. And while Ukraine stayed mum in the aftermath, Moscow described it as a terrorist attack by Ukraine. And here we should be noting that while Ukraine has intensified the drone attacks on Russia, in most cases, these drones have been shot down by Russia's superior air defense systems, and some of them that passed through have only inflicted minor damage to Russian infrastructure. It is part of Ukraine's counteroffensive operations, a campaign aimed at reclaiming land lost to Russia. But reports from the battleground paint a rather grim reality of Ukraine's operations. You see, Ukraine has intensified the drone attacks, and yet they're also trying to send out a message. It seems a signal to the people in Russia, warning the Russian people that they too can be affected by the ongoing conflict. And this comes at a time when hundreds of tanks and other weaponry generously has been gifted to the Ukrainian troops, failed to alter Ukraine's fate. Russian troops have shot, burnt, destroyed NATO-supplied tanks and vehicles, and Ukrainian troops have failed to break through Russian defenses. In fact, according to Russia, Ukraine has lost more than 43,000 service members and nearly 5,000 pieces of military equipment since the start of the counteroffensive. Ukraine's counteroffensive is yet to yield impressive results, and Kiev blames delays in arms deliveries from the West. This is despite the US military sending over $43 billion in aid since the war started, and despite substantial support from Western sponsors. At this pace, for how long really can Western countries actually continue supporting Ukraine in light of Ukraine's unending appetite for aid and NATO's dwindling stockpile? Is NATO's Ukraine aid policy sustainable? And as you think over that, let's also examine what the American taxpayer actually thinks. Consider this. According to a new poll by CNN, 55% of people stated that the US should not authorize more funds for Ukraine, while 45% said the Congress should authorize such funding. 51% expressed that the US has already done enough. 48% believe that it should do more. The poll was conducted from the 1st of July to the 31st this year, and the results were released earlier this month. Partisan divisions have also widened, according to CNN. Most Democrats and Republicans are now on opposing sides regarding America's role in Ukraine. And a majority of Americans, about 56%, are concerned that Russia's war in Ukraine will threaten US national security. And a bigger worry across partisan lines is this. the war will continue without a resolution for a long time. And yet, Ukraine does not fear a fall in Western war assistance. Its foreign minister, in fact, has dismissed the Pole, Dmytro Kuleba, told reporters on Tuesday, and I'm quoting, "We are not feeling any fall in support from the US Congress in the European Parliament. In the US, it's linked to the start of the electoral cycle." He said that Ukraine would overcome it, quote unquote. In reality, Russia has intensified its strikes on Ukraine's energy and military infrastructure. And for Russia, this war is not merely about acquiring territories. It's a more nuanced objective than that. After all, at its very core, Putin's primary aim is to keep Ukraine out of NATO at any cost. The bottom line is this: Ukraine has resorted to drone strikes with the hope of inflicting a psychological impact. It's meant to support the slow counteroffensive. However, Western experts don't see Ukraine winning the war. On the battlefield, at least, the land battle has been frozen for some time. Ukrainians are moving, of course. They have made gains, but few want to actually admit that it has reached a stalemate. But a stalemate is what it will turn into, some say. The West is realizing that the current model is not sustainable. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky pledged to bring the war into Russia, and he has delivered. However, he has also entrapped himself in a catch-22. For over a year, Ukraine has requested sophisticated weaponry, and in exchange, Zelensky vowed to remove Russia. Yet, these promises are struggling, and NATO is feeling fatigued. Will Zelensky's quest for victory lead to Ukraine's victory, or will it plunge his people deeper into conflict? We have to wait and watch. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.